So it's been over a week since the Gran Turismo 7 Power Pack DLC and Spec 3 update have been released, and I've given it enough time for my thoughts to marinate inside of my brain compartment and finalize my opinions and overall thoughts about this update and this power pack. I'm going to be honest, in the first couple of hours of playing them, I really wasn't that impressed. I thought we were going to get more fundamental changes with the game, particularly with sport mode, as well as some actual new events or game modes and stuff like that for both single player and online. But unfortunately, none of the extra things I wished for came to fruition, and we also did not get B-Spec. Even though I wasn't 100% sure that it would come, I had really high hopes, and there was also a little bit of evidence on the side as well to suggest that B-Spec would come to the Power Pack endurance races. Unfortunately, it hasn't. Not even in any shape or form. We don't have B-Spec whatsoever. But I'm actually going to go over the Power Pack stuff after we talk about Spec 3 because I feel like that would be more relevant to more people. As for the fact that everybody received the Spec 3 update for free, but the Power Pack is a paid DLC for PS5 only, and not everybody has that. So, Spec 3. First, let's cover the content as far as the tracks and cars go, because that seems to be the most significant part about this update overall. If we were to think of Gran Turismo 7 as a cake, I would consider it to be a little bit of actual cake material and a shit ton of icing. And for the most part, this update was just more icing and not that much more cake. This will make more sense as I describe the update, so let's just get into it. First, let's go over the new circuits. Yas Marina and Gilles Villeneuve. I finally got it right. Gilles Villeneuve. We're going with it. We're rocking with that pronunciation. Deal with it. So first, Gilles Villeneuve. I actually like driving this track quite a bit. It is very fun. I am definitely a fan of narrow tracks and technical tracks, so this one suits my style quite well. However, whenever it comes to racing on this track, completely different story. If I could describe this track in 4 words, it would be Death Chicane version 2. Now, I understand that this track has only been out for a week and people are still getting a little bit used to it, but for wheel-to-wheel racing with a bunch of noobs online, it is not really the right recipe for solid racing, and you really have to be in a very, very good lobby to have some good racing here. And even if you are in a good lobby, good luck trying to overtake in most parts of the track. Trying to go too wide into the chicane is pretty much a guaranteed death sentence. Sector 1 is quite bumpy and it is pretty easy to spin out. And of course, this track is infested with the cursed and the absolute abomination known as FIA grade sausage curbs. Because some smooth brain at the FIA thought adding sausage curbs to real-life tracks was a good thing to keep drivers from abusing track limits. So, yeah, if they're all about safety, so let's just yeet a car if they dare go a little bit wide on a corner. Great. Outside of that, though, the track is pretty. It's really fun to drive in time trial. Wheel-to-wheel racing, though, is just an SR and DR nightmare, so it's probably going to be one of the tracks that I avoid in sport mode, especially in faster cars. Yas Marina, aka Abu Dhabi. Now, I think it's actually kind of fitting that they add this track at this time of the year with the Formula 1 series wrapping up with their final race at the track, and it is definitely one of the prettiest looking tracks in the game as far as real-world circuits go, but I don't know about the racing on this track either. I rarely know anything about this track. I never watched like a real life race there before, but I did watch the F1 race there recently on TV, and I almost fell asleep multiple times because it was actually that boring. I don't know if Formula 1 is just a terminally boring sport like that, or if the track is just very poorly designed as far as entertaining racing goes. It is definitely a challenging track, though. There are a few tricky sequences of corners in the track, and there is a pretty difficult chicane on this one as well. But as far as the driving experience, it's actually kind of good, and I'm not too upset about this track being in the game. I actually kind of like it. I think it provides a little bit better racing as opposed to Gilles Villeneuve as far as like a video game setting goes, whenever you're racing against people who aren't really worried about tapping each other or ramming and stuff like that. Next, let's go over the cars. So the Ferrari 296 GT3, here you go guys, here's your new GT3 car. Rejoice, they finally did it. Another copy-paste GT3 car. Woo. I mean, hey, it's cool. I like it. I like the way it drives. I drove it quite a bit in the first couple days. Not much more to say than that. I mean, we have a new GT3 car. Yay. As far as the road-going version of the 296, I actually haven't driven this that much, but I am going to probably make a video on it fairly soon. Next is the Mines R34 GTR. I don't think it was necessary to add this specific version of the GTR, but hey, we got another version of the Skyline R34. It's a thing that exists, so that's cool, I guess. I'll always take more R34 GTRs. I can't complain. Fiat Panda. I don't care what anybody says about this. This car sucks, and you can't do anything with it. You look at it for a second, you say, oh my god, Fiat Panda, and that's where it ends. It's a meme car in some people's eyes, I guess. It's just a Fiat Panda. It's a thing that you can't do anything with, by the way. So yeah, Polestar something something. I don't remember the name. I don't care enough to look it up again. Electric car with the mandatory iPad superglued to the dashboard. Not much more to say than that. Mitsubishi FTO GP version R 1997. This is the king of the update. Deal with it. Gran Turismo F3500B. Now, honestly, I don't really see a whole lot of differences between the B and the A other than looks. There is like a slight power difference. Maybe there's a little bit of a handling difference as well. But I think the highlight for this car actually comes with the fact that you can engine swap it to the engine that comes in the F3500A. And you can also put the engine from the last car that was added in this update, which is the Espace F1. Now, this car is legendary. It has only ever been featured in Gran Turismo 2 as far as this series goes. And whenever I first saw this thing during the Gran Turismo World Series Los Angeles live stream, I nearly coomed. But there is a big problem with it, and that is it drives like a lead sailboat. This is a great start. It's almost like it's an SUV or something. Yeah, I mean, I like the Espace and all, but it just sucks to drive, though. I really, like, looking at it, listening to it is cool, but driving it, not so much. It's probably, like, one of the worst cars I've driven in this game so far. I mean, I expected it to not be perfect, but this is, like... And there's another one. Alright, you know what? I'm not even going to give it a few more tries. I'm going to do it off stream because that's awful. It's almost like it's a van. It is a van. It literally is a van. That's why it drives like that. So yeah, it's not the most fun car to drive in the world, but it's the Espace F1. It's a minivan with a Formula 1 engine, and it looks rad. So it makes up for its lack of driving capability. As far as the engine swaps in the game, we've received a plethora of them in this update. It's always nice to have more engine swaps. There are never any downsides to this. I'm a fan. Especially with the Espace F1 engine swaps into the F3500 cars. It makes them sound way better than the original engines that come with them, even though it's technically not period correct as far as the cars go, but I dig it. I dig it a lot. Now, everybody at this point already knows all the single player and online changes to the game, so instead of just recapping all that stuff, I'm going to go over everything that I'm disappointed about not showing up in the update. First things first, sport mode changes. There were absolutely no sport mode changes. I was hoping we would have some kind of change to it, either getting it like maybe a daily race D with endurance racing, introducing qualifying before every single race instead of the current practice system, a change to the penalty system of some sort, a reporting system, 20 players per race, something that actually makes sport mode interesting for newcomers and interesting enough for people to come back to. But there was absolutely nothing, unfortunately. So, yeah, that's it. Now, there was one thing that I really wanted to appear in the game, and that is shuffle racing. This is one thing that probably wasn't going to happen at all, but I feel like they really missed out on an opportunity here to capitalize on all the NPC cars that they've been adding to the game for the past couple years. Shuffle racing would have really put all those cars to use and allowed people to drive a plethora of different things in the game that they probably haven't driven yet. And it's the absolute perfect format to do it in. Of course, shuffle racing is never going to be a fair game mode. It literally is a roll of the dice as to what car you drive in a certain PP range. But I feel like they could have made it work one way or another. Maybe just leave it SR rating only, and probably incentivize people to race shuffle races with like increased price credits or something like that. But I feel like they just failed on a pretty big opportunity there. So that is kind of disappointing that they didn't capitalize on it. And other than that, I mean, there really weren't any other game-changing features that they added to the game. Me personally, I think features and bug fixes should be at the top of the priority list for updates rather than just more icing on the cake. In this case, I'm referring to cars and tracks. But I don't know. I mean, everything that we got has been pretty good so far. I just feel like they could have capitalized on this a little bit better and potentially could have made this the greatest update ever. But as it stands right now, some of y'all might call me crazy, but I think Spec 2 was probably just as significant or maybe just a little bit more significant. As far as the power pack goes, $30 for this thing. If I was the filthy casual that I have always aspired to be, I probably wouldn't have bought this. And the main problem that I have with this is the AI. Sophie 3.0 has pretty aggressive racecraft, but its pace suffers quite a bit because they don't know what a racing line is. Like, as they approach a corner, they'll camp out in the middle of the track instead of using the full width of the track like a normal driver who has any sense of idea of how to drive on a racetrack. They will dive bomb you. They will race wheel to wheel with you pretty aggressively too, but they just don't have the pace. Once you're in front of them, it's not that hard to keep them behind. And even if you are in the slower car and you're not like a super skilled driver, you can still pull away from them in most races. As far as the preset cars go, I'm still kind of bummed that we can't drive our own things, but I do have to give it to them. They do drive fairly well, and I think they did a good job on this part. As far as the endurance races go, I actually haven't made it far enough in the power pack to not only unlock the endurance races, but also drive them, because apparently you need 500 stars to even drive one of the endurance races. I was confused whenever I first got it because I didn't see any endurance races on the menu anywhere, but apparently they appear after you complete a section. But not every section has them because there are only 4 endurance races. One cool thing about the endurance races though is that you actually have dirt and tar buildup on the cars as if you were driving a real life endurance race. And it's kind of weird the way it works because every single car in this game looks squeaky clean. They will get a little bit dirty, like as far as dirty goes, they'll get a little bit dusty looking in a race. But there is one exception. Big Willow is the only layout in the entire game that I know of that actually has bug and tar buildup on the cars as you drive it. I don't know why that is. So it's kind of strange how Big Willow is the only one to be able to do that. But now you have bug guts, debris, and all sorts of stuff building up on the cars in the endurance races, which I think that's a nice touch that they probably should have done from the very get-go of the game on every track. And you also can save your progress mid-race. It doesn't explicitly tell you that whenever you do it, but it is kind of like a hidden feature type thing. So at least, even though we don't have B-Spec, at least we do have that. So overall, Spec 3, I think it could have done a much better job. I think it had way more potential to be an even better update than we did get, but I'm a fan of the cars. I'm a fan of the tracks in most ways. The features and fixes that we did get are pretty solid, but I definitely feel like they could have done more with sport mode and online features in general. I feel like they really dropped the ball on that one. Which, speaking of sport mode, even though there are absolutely no changes to sport mode, I am looking to get into it, so be on the lookout for any streams that might show up in your subscription box. For the remainder of this year and the beginning of next year, I plan to do a lot of daily races and probably try to build an audience as far as streaming goes, so make sure you're subscribed to see those in the next coming days and weeks. And yeah, let me know what you guys think about Spec 3 and the Power Pack DLC in general. Are you guys playing the game more now because of this update? Are you playing it just as much as you did before? Or are you still not playing the game whatsoever? Because me personally, I've been on and off this game quite a bit for the past couple years, and even though nothing in this update was significant enough to bring me back by itself, I'm pretty much only returning to the game right now for one, content, and two, because I do kind of feel like I do want to get back into this game anyways. I don't think Spec 3 or the DLC Power Pack brought me back itself on its own. I pretty much have other reasons to start playing this game again. But let me know what you guys think about it. But at least try to keep the comments somewhat civil as best as you can. Please. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and see you in my next rambling video, whatever that may be.